So, you want to main Sombra.
Make that big boss less special. It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level. Second level, baby. Second level.
Hello again, and welcome back to another So You Want to Main Overwatch Character Guide. Today, we'll be looking at the snarky Latina hacker, Sombra. Sombra was among the thousands of children who were left orphaned in the aftermath of the Omnic crisis. With much of her country's infrastructure destroyed, she survived by utilizing her natural gifts with hacking and computers. After being taken in by Mexico's Los Muertos gang, she aided in its self-styled revolution against the government. Los Muertos believed that the rebuilding of Mexico had primarily benefited the rich and the influential, leaving behind those who were in need of assistance most. But Sombra was caught unprepared when she stumbled into a web of global conspiracy, one that had also noticed her. With her security irreparably compromised, she was forced to delete all traces of her identity and went into hiding. Determined to find out the truth behind the conspiracy she had uncovered, Sombra launched an even more audacious string of hacks, and her exploits earned her no shortage of admirers, including Talon. She joined the organization's ranks and is believed to have contributed to its massive cyber attacks against corporations with strong ties to their government. These efforts excited a popular revolution in Mexico against La America and breached the security of Volskaya Industries, the manufacturing arm of Russia's anti-Omnic defense. Now, with Talon's extensive resources to call upon, Sombra can focus on her true goal, to unravel the conspiracy and use the power behind it to her own ends. And with that, let's get started, shall we? Fun fact, Sombra is the only character in the game where you can hack the game without actually cheating. Okay, now that we have the obvious lame hacker joke out of the way, let's take a look at our technologically inclined friend, shall we? Sombra is a tracking DPS character that often draws comparisons to Tracer as far as base mechanics go. This is mostly due to Sombra's weapon, the machine pistol. Like Tracer's pulse pistols, the machine pistol is a rapid-fire hit-scan weapon, mostly effective at close to mid-range. The machine pistol even fires at the same rate as Tracer's pulse pistols at 20 shots per second. However, only fires 1 round per shot, unlike the pulse pistols, which fire 1 round each per shot. This leads to lower damage potential on Sombra, but the large clip of 60 rounds on the machine pistol and its relatively good accuracy make for a pretty decent trade-off. If you can stay alive, Sombra can hammer away at enemies' health bars, but the rest of Sombra's kit is really what sets her apart from Tracer. Sombra's kit consists of the passive ability, Opportunist, the active abilities, Hack, Stealth, and Translocator, and her ultimate ability, EMP. Much like Tracer, Sombra's kit offers a lot of mobility, but rather than focusing on pure speed in order to launch hit-and-run attacks on the enemy, Sombra's kit leans more towards stealth and ability disruption in order to disrupt the enemy and ruin their plans. Let's take a look at these abilities. Sombra's passive ability, Opportunist, allows Sombra to see enemies that are below 50% health no matter where they are on the map, even through walls. Unlike other effects like Widow's Infrasight, the enemies marked by Opportunist will have a glowing effect rather than an outline. The effect will remain active as long as an enemy is below 50% health. If they get healed up or eliminated, they will disappear from your sight. The effect will not be shared by the other heroes on Sombra's team, so be sure to communicate the position of enemies marked by Opportunist if necessary. The Opportunist ability is simple, but the information it provides could lead to securing kills you otherwise wouldn't. No critically injured enemy will go undetected, allowing you to finish them off yourself or tell a teammate to do so, even if they're sneaky and try to hide. Opportunist may also let you track enemy movements in some cases. If an enemy hides somewhere where there's no health pack, and they have no means to heal themselves but magically drop out of your sights without being eliminated, it's safe to conclude they probably ran to a healer for help. If this happens, be sure to let your team know about it. This information may help you predict where the enemy will launch a push from or where they've retreated to after a lost team fight. Sombra's most famous ability is arguably Hack, and is also arguably the most powerful tool in her arsenal. Sombra can use Hack to disrupt enemies, augment health packs, and temporarily deactivate enemy constructs. Sombra can use Hack on any applicable target within 15 meters. In order to use Hack, you must hold the Hack key or button on while looking at the Hack target for 0.65 seconds without breaking line of sight or being damaged. Sombra also cannot hack enemies through shields. If the target breaks line of sight, hides behind a shield, or is eliminated before the hack completes, there will be no cooldown to hack, and you'll be able to hack another target immediately. If hack casting is broken by taking damage, however, you'll have to wait 2 seconds before attempting to hack again. Now, what exactly does hack do? On enemy heroes, a successful hack will prevent activation of abilities, including ultimates, and in some cases end abilities that are already active. The enemy hero's health bar will also be visible to all allies, and an icon will appear if their ultimate ability is ready. The hack effect will prevent the affected hero for 6 seconds and reveal their health bar and ult status for 20 seconds. Now, when it comes to abilities and ults that are already active, it gets more complicated. What can and cannot be disrupted varies, and you can make an entire video on the subject, quite frankly. You can either experiment yourself and determine what abilities can and cannot be cancelled by hack, or you can find a comprehensive list at the link below. Now, how and when should you use hack? Hack is a powerful ability that can turn a teamfight on its head. Generally, to initiate a teamfight, it's advisable to hack either a healer or a shield tank in order to take them out quickly and gain the advantage. Hacking a Lucio, for example, will completely remove his ability to heal his team or to speed boost to safety from you. Hacking a Reinhardt will prevent him from shielding himself or his teammates, while also preventing an escaping charge, a defensive fire strike, or a devastating earth shatter. If you do not take out the target on the first hack, or are unsuccessful in hacking the enemy, try again or switch hacking targets. As the fight wears on, you'll want to hack any hero with key abilities in order to maintain or regain advantage. For example, if a Mercy is moving in for a res, hack her out of it. You'll both prevent the res and make her an easy target to finish off. Even if she does complete the res, you still stand a decent chance of taking her out, so long as she has little support. And that goes for all heroes, in fact. If you notice a hero out of position, hacking them will make it easier to take them out and harder for them to escape your grasp. If your team is having trouble with characters diving your backline, such as a Tracer, Doomfist, Wrecking Ball, Winston, etc., try grouping up with them and hacking the threat. You'll cut their mobility, making it harder for them to eliminate or escape your teammates. The general idea when using hack is that you want to hack the enemy whose abilities pose the biggest threat to your team, or the biggest advantage to the enemy team. Figuring out who poses the largest threat is the trick, and with patience and time, you will learn which target to hack in which situation. Stealth is an ability that allows you to turn invisible as Sombra. Activating the stealth ability will cloak Sombra and grant her 50% movement speed. When stealth is active, you will not be seen unless you move within 2 meters of an enemy, or if you're marked by Hanzo's Sonic Arrow or Widowmaker's Infrasight abilities. If you are detected, a detected message will appear on your HUD while you remain visible to an enemy. Enemy placements such as Torbjorn and Symmetra's turrets or Ash's Bob will also not target you unless you have been marked by an ability. There are some drawbacks, however. While stealth is active, Sombra is unable to use her machine pistol, hack an enemy, or use her EMP. Any attempt to use these abilities will trigger a de-stealth animation, during which Sombra is still unable to use her weapon or the pre-mentioned abilities. Stealth will also be broken if Sombra takes any damage while in stealth, again triggering the de-stealth animation. While in stealth, the Opportunist ability remains active and Sombra's Translocator can still be used. If Sombra translocates while in stealth, she will remain in stealth after translocating. How should stealth be used? For the most part, you'll want to use stealth to get around the enemy in order to hack a key target, set up an EMP, launch a surprise flanking attack, or any combination of these tactics. You want to activate stealth somewhere where the enemy will be unable to see you, as during the casting animation, the enemy will still be able to see you and see where you're headed. This enables the enemy to either break stealth before you're able to get away, or shortly after it activates by guessing your movements. Stealth can also be used to escape danger or regroup with your team, but the same idea still applies. Wherever possible, activate stealth out of sight. If you're desperate and cannot get out of sight, try moving unpredictably in order to reduce the risk of stealth being broken. Additionally, you can also use the increased movement speed stealth offers to rejoin the fight more quickly if you've been eliminated. During stealth, you'll still want to keep space between yourself and enemies. Even if the enemy does not see you, an errant attack can still break your stealth, and you still remain susceptible to being detected or setting off a trap like Junkrat's trap or Widowmaker's poison mine. If you get too close to an enemy and are detected or marked by Hanzo's sonic arrow, don't panic. Move out of range and try to avoid enemy attacks to stay in stealth. You may even pull their attention away from the rest of your team or the objective, which could be advantageous. This could pull the enemy out of position and vulnerable to attack by you or your teammates. If you're marked by Widowmaker's infrasight, try to stay out of sight lines and group up with your team. If you're not near the enemy, you can stay in stealth and use the detected message on screen to determine if the infrasight is still active. Communicating this information to your teammates is extremely valuable and will let them know if it's safe to peek out from behind cover or not. Lastly, whenever you want to end your stealth, do keep in mind that you'll have to go through the de-stealth animation, which makes you extremely vulnerable for a short time and also produces a noticeable audio cue. Try to de-stealth out of sight of the enemy in order to catch them off guard. Whenever you use stealth, try not to linger too long in stealth if possible. Your inability to use your weapon, hack, or EMP enemies while in stealth means you'll be unable to disrupt or damage the enemy. Being a damage hero, you'll want to be damaging and taking out key targets as much as possible. The Translocator ability allows Sombra to instantly transport from her position to wherever she decides to place her Translocator. When the Translocator ability is activated, Sombra throws the device in a projectile arc. This device has 5 health and can be easily destroyed by the enemy if found. Once thrown, Sombra can transport to wherever the Translocator is, even before it's landed, so long as it's not been destroyed. Sombra may also remotely destroy her Translocator if it's no longer needed in its current location. With a rather short cooldown, 4 seconds if used or destroyed by enemies and 2 seconds if remotely destroyed by Sombra herself, the Translocator gives Sombra great mobility, allowing her to get behind the enemy, reach otherwise unreachable areas, quickly regroup with teammates, or quickly reach health packs. But how should you use it? There are 2 main ways to use Translocator. You can choose to place your Translocator down in order to give yourself a constant escape route in any situation. This will cut your mobility down, but will also make you a harder target to eliminate. If you place your Translocator close to the rest of your team, you can quickly regroup with them if you need support or if they need help dispatching threats to your backline. Alternatively, you can use your Translocator often in order to move quickly around the map and keep the enemy off guard. This method will increase your mobility, but will also decrease your ability to escape elimination if attacked. This method can also be used to set up an excellent EMP, but may also leave you unable to escape enemy fire after translocating. While you may still be able to throw your Translocator to safety if caught off guard, you might be eliminated before you're able to transport. Either method has its merits and its drawbacks, and can be used interchangeably as needed. For example, you may want to use your Translocator to get behind enemy lines, and then hack a health pack and set up your Translocator in order to launch repeated flanking attacks. Sombra's ultimate ability is the EMP, standing for Electromagnetic Pulse. It allows Sombra to instantly hack any enemy, emplacement, or health pack within a 15-meter radius. If an enemy has line of sight on Sombra when she uses EMP, if they're not behind a wall or a window, they will receive the hack debuff, even if hiding behind an ally's shield. In addition to applying hack effects to targets, Sombra's EMP will also destroy any shields hit by the EMP blast, and also remove character shields, such as the shield portions of Zarya, Symmetra, and Zenyatta's health bars, or the shielding granted by Wrecking Ball's adaptive shields or Lucio's sand barrier. EMP is a powerful ability that reduces or completely eliminates the enemy team's ability to survive a coordinated attack. But it can only do this if multiple enemies are grouped together. As such, you'll get the most value out of EMP against grouped up targets and with follow-up from your allies. EMP is the perfect ult to combo with other ults like Diva's Self-Destruct, Reinhardt's Earth Shatter, or McCree's Deadeye, for example. Your EMP will destroy shields and also prevent enemies from escaping potential danger, but the effect will not last long, so it will require good coordination with teammates to pull off a successful combo. EMP can also be effectively used on its own when defending an objective. If the enemy is moving in with a coordinated push, an EMP will leave them vulnerable to the counterattack. With good coordination, your team could then wipe the enemy team using few to no additional ults. This will buy your team time to build up their own ults or conserve them for the next fight. This tactic is particularly useful if the enemy chooses to push using a Lucio sand barrier, as your EMP will completely cancel out the effects of the sand barrier, depriving the enemy team of a crucial support ult. However you decide to use your EMP, you also have to make sure you can get in position in order to activate it. Whatever the situation, you can either throw your Translocator into the enemy to let it loose, or sneak around them with stealth, run into the crowd and unleash the EMP, and either stick around and try to get picks with your machine pistol, or use a Translocator to group up with your team and push as a unit. Despite your best efforts, it's possible you may successfully EMP the enemy and then be eliminated immediately after. But if your team follows up and wins the teamfight as a result, it'll be worth it. When it comes to EMP, the two keys to success are coordination with your team and using EMP against a group of enemies. This cannot be stressed enough. If used against one enemy, you'll get little value out of EMP, as it does little more than the hack ability against individual targets. If used against multiple enemies, but without follow-up, you'll also get little value out of EMP as well. Use EMP to initiate a teamfight and always make sure your team is able to capitalize on its effects. Now that we have covered the ins and outs of Sombra's kit, how do we use it all? When playing Sombra, disruption of the enemy team and isolating targets is absolutely key. In some cases, this may mean sneaking around the enemy, hacking an errant healer, and picking them off to give your team the advantage. Or playing close to your team, hacking a shield tank and initiating a coordinated attack that wipes the enemy team. If your team is having trouble with an ability-heavy enemy, then make them your target. Whether they're defending the enemy team with a shield or diving your team's backline, hack them to leave them vulnerable and use your machine pistol to dish out some hurt on them. Use your stealth and your Translocator to move around the map undetected and keep the enemy on their toes. Your mobility and sneakiness will allow you to quickly and safely move between the enemy's backlines, your team's backlines, and everywhere in between as needed. But don't spend all your time getting in position and making the big plays. As Sombra, you're still a DPS, and your machine pistol can deal serious damage with its large clip and decent mid-range accuracy. Lighting up the enemy with your machine pistol will also give you charge for your EMP, opening up massive combo potential for you and your team. As Sombra, you serve as a key initiator for your team. Coordinate with your team and let them know who you are targeting if possible, and have them let you know who should be targeted. Use your hack to isolate your target and leave them vulnerable, and then use your machine pistol to finish them off and gain crucial ult charge. If your EMP is ready, let your team know, determine your game plan, get in position, hit a group of enemies with the EMP, and make sure your team is ready to follow up. Lastly, don't get frustrated if things don't come together at first. Sombra is a highly tactical character and might not work out in every situation. You'll need to coordinate with your team as much as possible, and you won't be able to do everything on your own. With practice and experience, you'll learn how to work with your team to identify and take out key targets and set up those big plays that will win team fights and matches. Eventually, you'll be hacking the planet. Boop.
Propaganda is useless.
Propaganda's los luces.